How to find your first rental property? Welcome to Achieving Success Through Failure. Trying to find your first deal is quite difficult. There's a lot of questions that you're probably asking, and sometimes you tend to overanalyze or don't know where to start. So today, we're actually going to be discussing the basics on how to look, where to look, and what you're looking for. And so that will help you create your own buy box so that you could connect with realtors or other people who could provide you deals and tell them what exactly you want. And in the process, get you the right deal to make you the money that you deserve. So let's get started. So, the most important thing that you have to answer is what property type are you interested in? Is it a single family home, a multifamily, a condo, or a townhouse? With a single family home, you have an increase in demand and appreciation. And with a multifamily, there may be higher cash flow. With condos, it may come in cheaper, but then you'll actually have to deal with HOA. Then you have to figure out how many beds and baths you're interested in. The typical would be a 3-2. After figuring out what you want, then you know what you're looking for, and then you will now proceed to the area of interest, which is determined by your price range. And in this aspect, we are talking mostly about traditional financing, in which for a business property, you'll have to place 20% down, and in your computation, you have to consider closing cost. Is there going to be rehab? And are you going to be needing someone to market the property? And in this aspect, a typical example is if you had $60,000, your typical max would be around 300K, in which 60K is 20% down for that much of a property. Afterwards, understanding how much you can actually buy, then you can then proceed by looking to a map in which you can go with a 30-60 minute drive to visit the property. So here we actually visit Zillow.com, we type Phoenix AZ, and we put our price range. We're going to be looking at an example of $300,000, and we're going to put our inputs, which we are looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath house. And since we are living in Phoenix, we could look at Phoenix Metro. And then from there, we could see where more red dots are, which would be a consideration for our market. Now, looking around the map, we could see that there are properties in downtown Phoenix. What we're looking at is how much these prices are and what the average square feet, which is just about around 1,000 to 1,500. We then open Zillow again to then look at how much rental comps are. We then click a 3-bed, 2 houses, and from there try to compare apples to apples. We zoom in at our area of interest, which is around the Maryvale region. Once we've started this, we then draw our box, which we will be looking at properties. We do that for the properties for sale, and we do our comps for properties for rent. So while looking at rental properties, we could actually arrange them from a high to low setting, in which you could actually see what the highest price over the area, which is $2,890 per month. This is at 1436. That's around $2 per square feet. Then you can actually look at the comps of other houses for rent, and you have to evaluate their quality. When were they made? Are they updated? Are they furnished, unfurnished? And do they have a pool or other amenities? You should also compare them by region, in which that would help you get a better comps of your rental, so that when you estimate it, you could actually be comparing apples to apples. After having gone through all of the properties which are for rent, we've determined that our average rental price would be around $2,000 to $2,100. So after establishing a ballpark of how much rent is around the area, which we can basically fine tune subsequently, we are now going to be looking at the available houses for purchase and what their purchase price is. One thing I'm also looking at is the price per square feet, because with regards to the price per square feet, if you're getting something cheaper and you actually have a larger square footage, it gives you a bigger bargaining chip once it is actually ready for a rental when you're comparing it to the average properties around the area. Again, looking at it through the pictures is something that you could estimate on how much work and rehab it will cost you, which you will also have to determine as part of your budget. So here is one property valued at $295,000. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath at 1486 square feet. We're looking at the facts and features, when it was built, if there's anything that was updated, and other considerations. Annual tax income is at 902, which we will be making adjustments in. Again, purchase price is 70,000. That was several years ago, and last tax was 875. So adjusting the property tax around here gives us a better and accurate results, and trying to perform a computation. Average home insurance, which you can purchase for 850, would be 71 per month, and computing at 6% interest rate will land us at $1,560 just to maintain the property. And looking at the features, we actually noticed that there is a pool. So what we will do is then update our comps to determine what is the typical value of rental properties around the area which have a pool as well. So looking at it, we see 2100, 2100. There's also a 1900 and a 2600, which is quite updated as well. So we can then have a estimate after getting the property all set up as a consideration for 2000 to 2100 is our estimate. We utilize UnitedStatesZipCodes.org to further understand the demographics of the zip code we are looking for. This basically helps us understand the population and clientele of our renters. We can also get a good data on the number of housings which are utilized as rental properties. And here it actually accounts for 33%. You can also estimate the vacancy, and you could do this by adding the houses for rent as a vacancy reason, which is 691, and add it to the number of renter occupied houses, which is 4,843. Then from there, that would be the total number of houses available, which is 5,534 houses. And you divide 691 divided by 5,534 houses, tells you that there is a 12.4% vacancy. Looking at overall the demographics in that area, that is slightly higher, which is the average between 8 to 10%. Now, we could actually verify our rental estimate using Rentometer. And what I would suggest is actually using multiple ways to analyze it. So we put in the data, and you can see that we are pretty much close between 1900 to 2000, around that area. The tool that you can utilize is the rental calculator in biggerpockets.com. We now put the address into the calculator, and afterwards it will import the data, and from there we just fill in the blanks with our purchase price of $295,000, an estimate of $3,000 of closing cost, and our estimated interest at 6% and 30 years, with our rental income which we could compare using their tool. However, the yield actually has low confidence, so we will proceed our property taxes as mentioned with our insurance. For now, we're gonna take a look how much our gross would be as a difference between our rent and our mortgage, which is $543. But you have to take into consideration our repairs, our vacancy, and our capital expenditures. When making this readjustment, our cash on cash ROI is only 4%. And in this aspect, you have to consider, is this something that you would be happy as an investment? So, after looking at our deal, the question is, are you happy with the cash on cash return? And understanding, looking at our previous videos, that whenever you invest in real estate, there's actually more towards just the number on cash on cash return. But also, you have to understand what risk you are taking. And from there, this is just one consideration in which how you actually can help and try to understand which market you can actually afford, number one, which you can purchase and plan on looking at. And from there, actually start looking at deals. Determine that probably 90+% of the houses for sale aren't going to work out, but you have to just look at the numbers. And if something does work, you may want to consider it and verify, but you have to do your due diligence and practice looking, because only when you're looking will you actually find what you're looking for. Again, this is Paul Del Prado. I'm hoping that you enjoyed the video as a good introduction to finding where you would start buying your houses. And please click the like and subscribe button. If you have any comments, suggestions, please feel free to type them down, and I'll see you next week.